Good Friday afternoon, everyone. Chris McDonald, Mac Files special today. This is our afternoon special we usually have about this time of the afternoon. This one is our By the Numbers program. We were going to do this yesterday, but we had other things pressing we wanted to get done. And one thing we didn't do yesterday, the reason we didn't do it yesterday was President Trump. He was in Michigan, and we started doing this and with Zach, and looked down there, and we had about 8 people in the chat room, and I was like, well, I hope nobody has disowned the Mac Files and realized that President Trump was speaking, and so we gave Zach a break, took it off about 10 minutes, deleted all of them. We're going to restart it today. We've got about 4 videos. We're going to go about 30 minutes. These are going to total about a half hour. These cover a wide range of subjects. A couple of them are from the 21st of March, and then there's a recent one that he's going to deal with the Parkland suicides and also the Sandy Hook suicides. And a very intriguing connection with the numbers on this. And then another one, we covered this story on our paper today. There's a 5-year-old, or 5th grader, I should say, 5th grade girl up in Virginia that mysteriously died on a playground yesterday or day before yesterday in a fight. And it caught my attention real quick, and Zach has some interesting take on that, and I thought it would be cool to let you get that insight. I wanted to just say this about those of you that are new to our program and new to this, and I've had some of you ask me about Zach and so forth, and I'm going to just say this to you. Gematria is something that's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to agree with this. If you're not, if you get in this and you don't seem to believe any of this, please leave the chat. Just go somewhere else. You might want to sit this one out. As I famously say, not all our shows are going to be your cup of tea, and we understand that. But don't be criticizing Zach and his work. The other thing I want to be clear, just because we believe in Zach's work does not mean that we believe in every single thing Zach Hubbard believes himself. I love Zach to death. He's a friend. Zach has some pretty weird views on some things, and you know, I don't agree with him. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that Zach believes, and you know, he's not going to believe with a lot of things I believe, but we respect each other, and we respect each other's work. But this gematria thing that he's doing, I totally believe there is a pattern of things going on across this world that's being controlled and contrived by a select group of people. I do believe in this cabal. I do believe in the deep state. I do believe in this dark Masonic order that is controlling. And a lot of people will maybe take issue with that, and they'll say, well, Chris, God's in control of everything. God is in control of everything, but Satan is the god of this earth. Satan is the god of this earth. That's in the Bible. God does control it. Satan has to get permission from God, but because of the sin and because of the fall of man, Satan has dominion over the earth in the sense that he controls this. He has to get final authority for whatever he does from the Lord and the release, but never underestimate that statement, because a lot of the stuff that you see that's evil is not of God, but it is of the evil one that controls this planet. And the spirit controls the majority of humanity. Only the people that know the Lord are the only people he don't control. And to be honest with you, that number is very small when it relates to world population, at least for right now. But I want you to keep those things in mind as you're listening to these videos. And again, we're not here to tell you that you need to go to Zach's video, and we give a carte blanche to everything you hear, every single thing on his videos. I listen to Zach fairly often, once a week. I'll go pull these videos off to share with you. And there's some things sometimes that me and Zach do not see eye to eye on, and we don't see eye to eye hard on. There's just a lot of things he ain't going to see eye to eye on me on. But I'll tell you this much about Zach Hubbard. He's a good kid, and he's a smart kid. He's an intelligent young man, and he's on to something, and every time he does a video, it just confirms something else that he said. And it's pretty riveting stuff, and I wanted to get his take. I did want to bring these videos to you today about these Parkland suicides, because it's very intriguing what's going on with the Sandy Hook and the Margaret Stoneman shooting down in South Florida. Do this today. Google her name. Just Google her name. Zach will not talk about it in his video, but Corey Daniel will deal with that tonight on the Mac Files, 10 o'clock, maybe a little bit before 10. up to prior to going on Pirate Radio with James tonight. But we got a great Mac Files at 10 with Corey Daniel. He's the Phoenix Enigma, and he did a deocculting of the New Zealand shooting. But at the end of that show tonight, we deal with Parkland, we deal with Sandy Hook. Corey's got some intriguing stuff. He don't even know Zach, but their theories are almost identical. And that lets me know that there's something to this that they're saying, and so forth. I just wanted to say that because I've been asked about some of Zach's views on some certain things. Folks, this is not an endorsement of his views. This is not an endorsement of Zach's ideology. I like Zach. I believe in what he's doing with the gematria, and I do believe that he's on to something. But just because we put a video out does not mean we're endorsing that person's worldview. And that would probably be the same if you was asking Zach about Chris McDonald. I think he would tell you the exact same thing. He's not going to agree with my worldview, and I don't expect him to. That's what makes the world go around, baby. A little variety. But just remember this as you're watching these videos. All right, I'm going to shut up. Next half hour, this is Zach Hubbard. By the numbers, these will be good things. Give me a minute to get this on. Thank you for being with us. Join us tonight on the Mac Files at 10. Folks, whatever you do, don't turn that dial next week. We have got some power-packed guests coming. Unreal. Pirate Radio tomorrow night. We'll probably have a special Saturday night, Mac Files tomorrow. 2 face shows on Sunday. We're just glad you're here. God bless. Here's Zach Hubbard. Take care.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. If you've been following my work on the Christchurch mosque shootings, I've said countless times we were expecting a false flag on that date, the Ides of March, March 15th, because of the stories from last year, October of 2018, and February and March of 2018, which were the Austin bombings and the mega bomber. The Austin bombings were blamed on Mark Anthony Condit, and the mega bombing threats were blamed on Caesar Sayoc. And Caesar died on the Ides of March. Mark Anthony took over. Very clear riddle. And what's comical is last night on my radio program, my weekly radio program on TFR, I again reviewed this and gave a presentation of what happened last year with those 2 bombings and how it foreshadowed this attack on March 15th. Now look at what we get today, March 21st, 2019. Pipe bomb suspect Caesar Sayoc pleads guilty in spree aimed at Trump critics, including Obama and Biden. Now, what's funny about this coming March 21st is that a year ago today, March 21st, 2018, is the day the police supposedly arrested the man responsible for what were known as the Austin bombings. Austin bombings 213, like 21/3, like March 21st. Now, a year to the day later, you get Caesar Sayoc in the headlines apologizing. This is the evidence of the rituals that are truly taking place. And these rituals are used to keep the populace in fear. Government is terrorism. The purpose of government is to mind control the populace. The best way to control one's mind is to instill fear in it and make them think that they need you to be safe. That's what governments do every day across the world. It's what governments have always done. Government and terrorism should essentially be the same word. They don't have to be, but they are in this world. All throughout the world is fear, intimidation, exploitation. This is what governments do to their people. How many years do I need to continue to expose what's going on, call out dates before they happen, before enough people take this work seriously? You know, I'm on my 18th channel, not because I violate terms of service, but because of the information and predictions that I put out. They are detrimental to the cabal, the powers that shouldn't be, the New World Order, whatever you want to call it. You know, they had to take down my channel before the Vegas shooting because I'd put out countless videos telling people to circle that date. It was going to be the biggest false flag since 9/11 in the U.S. And that's exactly what it was. You know, they said over 500 and some people were shot. Also, with regards to this man, Cesar Sayoc, being 56 years old, this is what they reported back when it happened too. So apparently he hasn't had a birthday. But they also report his middle name as being Cesar A. Sayoc. Trust me, covered this very extensively in October. Cesar A. Sayoc, 56, just like Ides of March. All things we've been talking about for the better part of a year now. And let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I know that back in October, I pointed out there were so many riddles here. If you guys should go back and really visit the work. I pointed out that if you write the name Cesar Sayoc Jr. the correct way, his name's spelled without an A, so this isn't the true gematria value of his name. But I did point out that if you spelled Caesar the correct way, he's also known as Cesar Sayoc Jr., it equaled 213, like the Austin bombings. So I just find that interesting now in light of this news story coming on March 21st, 21/3. But of course, it's really that it's the 1-year anniversary of the Austin bomber being supposedly arrested, and these two stories being tied together, and then both foreshadowing the false flag that just happened this past Friday. This is how the media works. Riddles. Riddles. And for all you movie watchers, I'll remind you, Jim Carrey, the actor, he's been in 2 movies where he educated about this language of letters and numbers. One is the number 23. So often the trolls will be like, you're like Jim Carrey in the number 23. Dumb comment. The other movie is Batman, where he played the Riddler, and he left clues for Batman in letters and numbers. Isn't that strange? So, the reason the people of the world do this, who are known as the Cabal, is because the Cabal comes from the term Kabbalah. And in Kabbalah, in the Book of Formation, it stated that God created the world by merging the letter with the number with the word. These people think they're God. They play God over our lives every single day using their media, their technology, to control the minds of the masses. It's that simple. You don't need to understand it any further than that. That's what they're doing. And by understanding this knowledge, you can prove every single day that that's what they're doing. So, if you're new here, just understand, in the last 5 years, I have hundreds of correct predictions from what will happen in the news before it happens, who will win sports championships before they happen, all from understanding this knowledge. Until next time. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. March 21st, 2019. Coming up on the spring solstice. Always a lot of ritualistic deaths this time of year. In the headlines today, the death of a country singer. He was reportedly up and coming. He was just 35 years old. He was filming a music video and using a gun that was supposed to be a prop, and he shot himself in the head and reportedly died. And this happened on March 16th, 316. And what do you think of with the initials JC, Justin Carter, and 316, as in March 16th? I think of one thing. So let's go through this. He was 35 years old when he accidentally killed himself. Notice country sums to 35. If you're new to my work, you should go back and watch the video series I did on Aretha Franklin in 35. She died on the anniversary of Elvis's death. She was the queen of soul. He was the king. Whole lot of 35 in both of their deaths, and 35 symbolizes this word called Svengali. It's about the evil in the entertainment industry, the hidden hand. And words such as Satan and Baphomet have this gematria 35 as well. Before I go on with this, I also want to remind about my book. The longest chapter is called Murder by Numbers, named after the song from 1983 about killing people by a code of letters and numbers. At the beginning of that chapter, I talk about the death of Brandon Lee and Bruce Lee. You know, Brandon Lee was killed during the filming of The Crow when supposedly a prop gun was loaded with a real bullet that fatally struck him. And what's so weird about that, what so many people don't know, is that his father, Bruce Lee, the last film that he was ever in was Game of Death. And he died during the filming of that movie. If you've never seen Game of Death, you should watch it, because Bruce Lee plays the character that's supposed to be a famous Hollywood actor, where while on a movie set filming a scene, somebody who wants to kill him puts a real gun in the set and shoots a real bullet at him, hitting him. And what they do in the film is they report that Bruce Lee's character, who's this Hollywood movie star, again, he's playing a movie about a movie star. In the film, they report that he really died, even though he didn't. So, Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, two very suspicious deaths, both by the numbers, covered very well in my book. This story just reminds me of that, because he's filming a music video, gets killed with the gun that's supposed to be a prop. So, there's a few other things that stand out here. Again, March 16th, 3:16, the most known verse in the Bible about JC, Jesus Christ. This guy's name's Justin Carter. John 3:16. In Hebrew, the name Jesus Christ sums to 316. Not coincidentally. As for the date this man died, March 16th, 19, it was a date with 38 numerology, death, murder, killing, RIP, they all sum to 38. The date can be written 16/3, like 163, that's the 38th prime number. March 16th, 19 was also a date with 58 numerology. Freemasonry has gematria 58 as well as 158. His name was Justin Carter. Of course, Freemasonry's fingerprints are all over the English translations of the Bibles, as I will cover in my book as well. His practice of murder by numbers is very much Masonic. The news of his death comes today, March 21st. Date can be written 21/3, like 213, shootings 213, in Satanic gematria, deaths 213. One of the most well-known musicians to die from a shooting was Tupac Shakur, who released his last studio album on February 13th, 213, and then died 213 days later, on September 13th, a date that can be written 13/9, like 139. Tupac Shakur equals 139. Freemasonry also has a gematria of 139. There's one other point I should make. Using the alphabetic order, there's 4 base ciphers if you're new here. Alphabetic order, Justin equals 93. Notice the news of Justin's death comes on the 21st. Alphabetic order, Justin's 93. Alphabetic order and rules numerology, Justin's 21. So the difference is, you see down here how J is 1. J is the 10th letter. The numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 was 1. U is 3. Use the 21st letter. The numerology of 21 is 2 plus 1 is 3. You just make each letter a single-digit number. Here, you just use the alphabetic order. Simple. J is 10, U is 21, S 19, T 20, so on. So alphabetic order with rules of numerology, reverse alphabetic order, Z is 1 back to A is 26, and reverse alphabetic order with numerology. With regards to Justin being 93, look at these words. Nazareth, 93. God's Son, 93. Crucifix, 93. So that also comes to mind in light of this man dying on March 16th with the JC initials. This definitely doesn't look like an accident, as it's reported. Looks like another murder by numbers. We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Well, I'll just make one more point. Usually in these videos, I cover the distance from the birthday to the death. I cannot find this man's birthday anywhere. I don't think he was quite famous enough, but he is making national news. And anytime you see these celebrity-related deaths in the national news, it's because they want you to know about it. And more often than not, it's a ritual murder. Until next time. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. I want to talk about this story of a young girl dying after a fight at school, March 27th, 2019. Before we get to that, just a reminder about what we talked about yesterday. On this same day, March 27th, 2019, the name of the victim was revealed who supposedly committed suicide that went to Stoneman Douglas. His name was Calvin Desir, summing to 181, the 42nd prime. Articles referred to him as a boy, which seemed interesting because the other girl who died was referred to as a teenager and not a girl. You know, and boy has this derogatory connotation towards black males. But anyway, Calvin Desir, 181, the 42nd prime. The news came out on a date with 42 numerology. Again and again, we see news headlines having to do with black people on dates with 42, again and again. If you missed my work for the last 5 years, this might be brand new to you, but I've written a book about this. Please see the playlist I put together for this past Black History Month, where it was one 42 story after the next. So here we are, just outside of Black History Month on a 42 date, and we got bombarded with a number of 42 stories. The entire Jussie Smollett story from start to finish was all 42. The brothers who were allegedly paid to commit the hoax act of, violence against Jussie Smollett, they were back in the headlines yesterday, March 27, 2019, this date with 42 numerology. Notice how the headline calls them the Osundaro brothers, or bros, the bros, Osundaro bros, which equals 181, the 42nd prime. Again, brothers 42, February 42, so many things associated with black history, summed to 42. Jackie Robinson didn't wear the number 42 arbitrarily. The name Jackie equals 42. And again, this story on a date with 42 numerology. You also get this story about these men who were wrongly convicted of murder being freed from prison 42 years later. And strangely enough, somebody called in my radio show yesterday and said, hey, have you seen this new rapper? His name's 42 Doug. And if you apply the language of gematria to so many of these rap names, you'll see 42s left and right. So anyway, on this same day, March 27, 2019, you get this story, the death of a young black girl. And again, date with 42 numerology, they said she was in grade 5. 5 has the gematria of 42. They said she was age 10. 10 happens to have the gematria of 42. They said she was the victim of bullying. Bullying has the gematria of 42. And notice, this story comes out of Colton County, the Colton County School District, Colton County 59. And if you have not read my book, the 18th chapter is about how the numbers 42 and 59 always come together in black history in so many different ways. Just think of Black History Month. February equals 42. It ends on the 59th day of the year. Slave, Negro, Blues, they all sum to 59. Slavery, 42. And there's a whole lot more to both of those lists. But 42, 59, again and again. Again, watch my playlist on Black History Month. So many stories bringing 42 and 59 together from this past February. In light of this being a school fight, it's interesting that Renia Wright sums to 72 in both reduction ciphers, like how school is 27 in both reduction ciphers. She died on the 27th. School also has the gematria 72, just using the alphabetic order. The name Renia, the name Wright, the name Fight, they all sum to 32. Her name was Renia Wright. Wright and Fight, not only do they match in gematria, they rhyme. And keep in mind that Scottish equals 32. We'll get to why that matters. Has to do with the day of the fight. Supposedly she got in a fight March 25th, Monday, went to the hospital that day, and died 2 days later while at the hospital, which seems really strange. The story is very vague. It doesn't say what kind of trauma she suffered. But anyhow, notice the gematria of Colton County. Again, if you're new here, there's 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order, and the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Colton has the gematria 96 like Freemason. It's who uses this code of letters and numbers. That's who controls your media, your government, your school districts, your police, your hospitals. Freemasonry, large and in charge. This code of letters and numbers and dates, it's their thing. Freemason, 96. Masonry, 33 and 39. Colton County, CC 33. Pay attention to how often stories come out of CC counties. You know, they're often suspicious too. But what else jumps out about this death is the name of the school, Forest Hills, which sums to 143. Whoops. Let me pull up the gematria calculator right here. With regards to 143 for the name of the school, notice Scottish Rite of Freemasonry sums to 325. The fight that led to her death was March 25th, 325. And Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, also 143, just like Forest Hills. And remember how the 32s were coded all over the story? Against Scottish 32. We live in a nation founded by Scottish Rite Freemasons. It's why their headquarters is in Washington, D.C., a city named after the Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. So, anyhow, the Scottish Rite fingerprints are all over this. The fingerprints of Masonry are all over this. And you know, the question becomes why? I mean, why do they need to do this every day? Why do they need to contrive news this way? I would say, in large part, it's because this system's built around us, where we expect news stories every day. And, you know, with those news stories comes commercials and ad space. And what's that old media mogul? His daughter was supposedly part of some, like, terrorist kidnapping decades ago. I cannot think what that man's name is. But he was known for saying, you know, if there is no news, we'll create the news. So, no doubt they're creating and contriving news. This is the code they do it by. Sometimes I wonder, though, you know, about a story like this. Was there really a fight? Was this girl really taken to a hospital? And, you know, part of what I'm wondering about is the fight was on Monday, March 25th, 2019, a date with 67 numerology in Colton County, which has this gematria of 67. And what do we know about that number? That's the number connected to suspicious deaths again and again. We had the suspicious death of the rapper Tech 9 on this date. We had multiple deaths in the news that day, which I covered. So, anyhow, I'll leave it there for now. Just another example. News contrived by the same repetitive pattern. Till next time, Truth Seeker. Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, March 25th, 2019. One of the top headlines this morning is, Father of a Sandy Hook victim dies from an apparent suicide. Just yesterday, one of the top stories was, second Stoneman Douglas student dies from an apparent suicide. And on Friday, one of the top headlines was another Stoneman Douglas student reportedly died from an apparent suicide. So from Friday to Monday, we get 3 stories of people impacted by school shootings committing suicide. And as I've educated about for years, if it's in the mainstream media, it's propaganda and it's very redundant, and they like to hit us with themed stories, one on top of the next, to pound home the programming. When you turn on the TV and they say back to your regularly scheduled programming, you need to think about that wording. Media is propaganda and programming, period. For years, I've been educating about the parallels between these two incidents. Parallels you can really only truly understand by knowing the language that the elites speak in. And that's the language of letters and numbers, which comes from Kabbalah. If you've heard the term the Cabal, meaning the secret political faction, that term comes from Kabbalah. And in Kabbalah, there's a belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number with the word. The people who control the media play God over the masses every single day using this code. So, again, Stoneman Douglas High School and Sandy Hook Elementary School, where these three suicides are now connected to, have perfect overlap in this code of letters and numbers. And the number that really matters is 113. Again, what is 113? It's a number that comes from the Talmud, where it says Jews may use lies to circumvent non-Jews. And to be fair, a Jewish person will tell you this is only true in a legal setting. But also, to be fair, you must remember that the entire world that you live in is now a legal setting. So, Baba Kamal 113A has everything to do with lies. See the video I put out last week about Haaretz saying the protocols of Zion are a lie of 113 years? Anyhow, a lot of words that have to do with lying are 113, including the mainstream, which is nothing but lies. Mainstream 113, dishonest, perverted, not true, not honest, not factual, disinfo, politics, perjury, fiction, bullshit, infidelity, divorce, and the list goes on. You know, there's even more. It's a number of deception. Adam Lanza was born April 22nd, 1992, a leap year. Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook shooter, was supposedly born on the 113th day of the year. The guy whose photo couldn't look any more photoshopped. Remember, they said when they went to Adam Lanza's body, it had his brother's ID on it? Why would that be? Is there even really an Adam Lanza? So here's the other piece. You have to know who is using this code. Freemasonry is invested in Kabbalah. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is headquartered in Washington, D.C. This is a federal agenda to disarm the population, to take away the rights from the population, to keep the people living in fear, thinking they need Big Brother. Freemasonry and government might as well be synonymous. The U.S. government is controlled by the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Scottish is 113. That's why Washington, D.C. is named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington, the first recognized U.S. president, even though he's not even really the first U.S. president. You know, they say the victors write the history books. We're living in a world of false information that's been contrived for centuries by this same gang, and all done by this same code. So Scottish 113. And think about this third story coming today, March 25th, a date that can be written 3/25 as we write it in the U.S. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry 325. Masonry has that gematria of 84. So does United States of America. Today, March 25th, 19, the day of the third suicide story. It's a date with 47 numerology. And as I write that, I realize that there's another word that I should have added to this list, and that is suicide itself. Suicide has gematria 47. Suicide. And just in case you're new here, I'm just going to go back real quick. There's 4 base ciphers you want to know. The alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order. Yesterday, the second Stoneman Douglas suicide was 1 month, 1 year, and 9 days after the Stoneman Douglas shooting. Suppose that suicide happened March 23rd. The school shooting was February 14th. 1 year, 1 month, 9 days. And now you get this third suicide on the date with 47 numerology. But anyhow, 47, very important to Freemasonry. It's the number of degrees on their compass. It symbolizes the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. The word foundation is 47. If you've never seen my work on DC and 47, please look it up or just read my book. All the knowledge that you need about this code is in my book. It's only $5. The book's nearly 800 pages long. You will not be disappointed. But anyhow, check this out. The name of the father who supposedly committed suicide, his name's Jeremy Richmond. Jeremy Richmond. You see how they say he's 49 years old? Look at Scottish. Scottish. Just talked about the 113 value. 49 as well. But with regards to his name, Jeremy Richmond, it equals 142, just like Parkland, Florida. And the last 2 suicides were Stoneman Douglas related, the school in Parkland, Florida. And as we pointed out the day of the shooting, how strange. The shooting was on 14/2, the 14th day of the second month. Keep in mind, the Parkland, Florida students just went to New Zealand to comfort the victims of the mosque shooting, which was on a date which I called out, in October. I said, circle the Ides of March, March 15th for the next New World Order big incident. We got that from what they were programming in October. But they said that New Zealand shooting started at 1:42 p.m. local time. And if you missed my work on New Zealand, 142 was coded all over the incident. The word terrorist, for example, equals 142. That's why they say the 9/11 attacks lasted an hour and 42 minutes. And all of this stuff is terror. It's all about fear. And the original definition of terrorism is government by intimidation. So Jeremy Richmond, Parkland, Florida, these stories all interconnected. Just want you to notice that Jeremy Richmond, also 142 and 74. The New Zealand shooting was just on the 74th day of the year. This is a big signature number of the Masons. Notice gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, is 74 and 142. Notice English language is 142 and 74. All this propaganda is contrived by this code. Just using the alphabetic order, gematria, English, Jewish, Masonic, occult, they're all 74. This knowledge is occult, meaning it's hidden. It's practiced within Masonry. It comes from Jewish mysticism, which is Kabbalah. It's encoded in English. And again, the practice of coding numbers into words is gematria. So, a couple more things I want to point out here. Look at the image of the girl that supposedly died. Does anything look wrong with this image to you? The Sandy Hook school shooting was in the age of HD cameras. I mean, what kind of camera took that picture? You mean to tell me that's the only image that exists of this girl? And don't forget, a month ago, CNN had their headline story about how AI is generating lifelike people every day in media that aren't even real. Why do you think they ran that story? Just to mock you. Just to mock your existence. As for this man being a father, the father commits suicide. It reminds me of a number that's coded on a lot of these false flags as well, including the date of the Sandy Hook shooting, which was a date with 58 numerology. Sandy Hook was December 14th, 2012. Father equals 58, like Freemasonry, like Rosicrucian, like secret society, also like Sandy Hook. That was the number coded into the shooter James Egan Holmes at the Batman movie premiere. Remember, for the Batman movie, they changed the neighborhood that was always known as South Hinckley to Sandy Hook. You had the Batman shooting, and then you had the Sandy Hook shooting. And earlier in 2012, on February 27th, prior to Sandy Hook, which is the 58th day of the year, you had a mass shooting at a school as well. February 27th, 2012. Now, I realized there was one name that I overlooked, so let's just do this in real time. I haven't decoded the little girl's name. AVL Richmond. AVL. A-V-I-E-L-L-E. Let's see. I see a 42. Big Freemason number. AVL Richmond. All right. Let's compare that with the last name. The Richmond's got a 42. Wow. Look at the overlap between the first and last name. 66, 123, 42. Freemason 42. Conspiracy 123. 66, the 11th triangular number, the master number. I'd have to think more about why. Let's see. Aviel Richmond, 84, and the news comes on the 84th day of the year, March 25th. See how they do this? You see how they do it? You know, my critics, they'll always say, oh, you must spend all day just trying to put this together. No, look at my blog. Thousands and thousands of posts. I do this stuff in an instant because it's just so repetitive. It's so easy to see through when you know the code. I'm noticing March 25th, the day leaving 281 days left in the year. Please go back and watch the video I did on March 22nd about the Robert Mueller report coming out and the number 281. It's a number related to Yale Skull and Bones, and the reason I bring that up is because Sandy Hook is just down the road from Yale Skull and Bones. So 281 is a Skull and Bones number. And you know what? Just real quick, I can just do this and we'll wrap it up. This should pull it up right here. Let me see if I got the information here. Let me see what the best way to pull this up is real quick. Give me one moment. Here we go. It's probably right here. Okay, so Skull and Bones in 281. George Herbert Walker Bush just died in the 281 area code. And by the way, I said he wouldn't make it past November of 2018. By understanding this knowledge, ritual murder is very much a part of this code. H.W. Bush went out by the code. He died 3 months and 22 days before March 22nd, 322. The day Jimmy Carter became the oldest living president, just showing you how perfectly coordinated and planned the agenda we're living out is. But H.W. died in Houston, the 281 area code. His father, Prescott Bush, who was a member of Yale and Skull and Bones just like him, died on October 8th, the 281st day of the year. And the founder of Yale Skull and Bones, William Huntington Russell, which is also what Yale Skull and Bones Trust is named after, or who it's named after, he died on his 281st day of his age. Now, 281 is the 60th prime number, and skull equals 60, what's on their symbol. It also has other standout numbers. Order equals 60, the order of Skull and Bones. And there's actually a lot of overlap there with order and skull. 60, 33, 75, 33, 60, 75. But 281, the 60th prime. So just understand, you learn the code, you learn the 4-base ciphers, you see how propaganda is contrived every day. It should leave no doubt that all of this information has been contrived over the years. All of it. Exactly what I honestly already knew before I even knew this code, but I had trouble when I was younger getting people to see through the lies of the media, so I knew I had to figure out something greater. And due to hard work and research and paying attention, I knew numbers were important to these people. And it was actually right after Sandy Hook that I figured out the code they were working by. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were reporting that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. If you could go back in time, you would notice everybody was bringing up that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. USA Today, New York Times, NPR, every news source did. CNN, Newsweek, Psychology. I mean, just everyone did. Everywhere you turned, they were bringing up that Adam Lanza weighed 112 pounds. And it was driving me nuts. I was like, why does it matter that he weighs 112 pounds? And I was looking to 112, and I found out it was the alt dialing code for 911. I was actually working at a school when Sandy Hook happened, and parents were freaking out that day, coming in early to pick up their children. And keep in mind, I live in Washington State, about as far from Connecticut as you can be in the U.S., but parents were freaking out. And I said to one of my coworkers that day, I said, I haven't seen people freak out this bad since 9/11. But anyway, everyone said 112 pounds. And now remember, Adam Lanza is born on April 22nd. In a non-leap year, that is the 112th day of the year. And you know why they did this? Because Sandy Hook equals 112. And it was synced up with the Dune Blaine Massacre, which happened March 13th, 96. 3 plus 13 plus 96 is 112. The Dune Blaine Massacre got gun rights taken away in the United Kingdom. Dune Blaine was the targeting of first graders. The Dune Blaine Massacre. Dune Blaine equals 73, like elementary school. The Dune Blaine Massacre was on March 13th, 96, the 73rd day of the year. That was a leap year. And look at the name Adam Lanza. So, anyway, we'll wrap it up there, Truth Seeker. Please help share this work. I don't know why no one else in the truth community will touch this material. You know, I put out more videos than anyone in the truth community in the last 5+ years. You know, no one's had a more undeniable message, a worthy message, and you can get almost no one in the truth community to discuss this knowledge. It's tragic. Until next time, Truth Seeker. 7th, 2019. In the news today, the police have identified the second victim of an alleged suicide that went to Stoneman Douglas. Prior to today, they said this person was anonymous. And I just want to briefly read the reporting and then show you what's so interesting about this. The student at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, who died by an apparent suicide on Saturday, has been identified as 16-year-old Calvin Desir, according to police. Coral Springs police officer Tyler Reek confirmed the boy's identity on Wednesday. The circumstances surrounding the student's death are not clear. CNN affiliate has reported the boy was a sophomore. He was the second teenager who attended the school during the shooting to die by suicide in the span of a week. Now, what's interesting is how they use the word boy twice in the reporting, a derogatory term towards black adult males. They didn't refer to the first victim, who was a young woman, as a girl. They referred to her as a teenager. So I find it strange, the use of the word boy 2 times. And the reason I don't think that's any coincidence is because of this right here. His name, Calvin Desir, sums to 181, which is the 42nd prime number, just like how boy equals 42. And today's date, the date of this revelation, is a date with 42 numerology. And if you're new here, I've shown how all throughout history, this number 42 has been stamped on stories having to do with black people again and again and again. Many people know that Jackie Robinson wore the number 42, but a lot of people don't know that the name Jackie equals 42 in gematria. They also don't know about the older history of the first black baseball player in white major league, which was Moses Walker, who played in exactly 42 games in the late 1800s. Moses Walker equals 42. So does February, Black History Month. And Black History also sums to 181. We've talked about how the name Barack Obama, which is a fake name, contrived for his puppet presidency. Barack Obama equals 181. From his birthday to Black History Month is 181 days each year. These numbers again and again. And just to make the point, here's another thing in the headlines today, March 27, 2019. The brothers who supposedly were paid by Jussie Smollett to contrive the hoax story of the attack on him, look at how they're referred to. The Osunduro Bros. The Osunduro Bros. What's that equal? Oh, 181. You know, they became part of the story in February, Black History Month. Brothers 42. You know, so many words that are attached to black history, if you will, sum to 42. And I love that one of the brothers' name's Abel. So anyway, don't forget that the Stoneman Douglas shooting was in February, Black History Month. Look at how this victim's name overlaps with black history. It's the same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. Black History, Calvin Desir. Same in 3 out of the 4. And another thing that stands out is from the date of the Stoneman Douglas shooting to this latest detail is 58 weeks later, the big Freemasonry number. And if you missed the video I did on the 2 Stoneman Douglas suicides and the father of the Sandy Hook parent, went into greater detail on 58. So I'm going to link that video in the top corner. Understand all news media is contrived propaganda. Again, you live in the age of artificial intelligence where lifelike renderings can easily be created. It's very possible that all of these people that you're seeing in the media do not exist. We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Until next time.